The global gaming market is currently valued at $189 billion, which is a ton of money, and it's not stopping anytime soon. The market will experience steady growth over the coming years between mobile, PC, and console gaming. It's even projected to hit over $200 billion as early as 2027. With this being said, the gaming industry in 2025 can be defined in one word, and that is greed. With big companies caring more about making money rather than making quality games. Companies like Xbox, EA, Nintendo, and Ubisoft deal with criticism regarding their business practices. In this video, we'll see how greed is affecting the gaming industry and break down exactly what these companies are doing that are ruining modern gaming. Xbox recently has been under fire by a ton of gamers. I mean, just check out the comments on Microsoft's Twitter account. It's not looking too good. In October of 2025, Xbox announced that Game Pass Ultimate will increase from $20 a month to $30 a month, which is pretty shocking, especially when you consider that Game Pass was a profitable business that earned $5 billion between June 2024 and 2025, with the Xbox Game Pass making up 21% of Xbox's total year revenue, being $23.5 billion. On the Xbox News' website, they say that their goal with Game Pass is to deliver unmatched value, benefits, and a deep library of games for our players, when in reality they just want to make more money and try to make it seem like players are getting more of a value with Game Pass, with users saying that that's going to price so many people out, and really ironic after they literally just talked about it being profitable. It's just not worth it for casual gamers, especially since you can get quite a few games each month for $30 in sales. $360 a year is nuts for a subscription service. Not only this, but Xbox increased the prices of the Series X consoles by $50, and the price of the Series S consoles increased by $20. To be fair, Microsoft did say that this was due to a macroeconomic environment, which included inflation and tariffs. Nintendo saw price increases as well. In August of 2025, Nintendo released a statement saying pricing for the original Nintendo Switch system and products will change in the United States based on market conditions, which appears to be because of tariffs and inflation as well. On the screen are price increases, which includes a $40 jump on the original Nintendo Switch and the OLED model increasing by $50. Nintendo games have also suffered from price increases, with Mario Kart World costing $80 for digital copies and $90 for physical copies in some regions. Even games like Zelda and Kirby are still $80 on Nintendo's website, with users saying, $80 games, I genuinely have no words for this, but frankly, it was to be expected. $60 games in 2017 are $78 in 2025 with inflation, albeit I am a little surprised it went for $80 instead of $70 to reduce outrage. Besides skyrocketing game development costs, Nintendo is in a very unique situation that allows them to be this anti-consumer. And then you have Ubisoft, whose Star Wars Outlaws Ultimate Edition is still worth $130 for just one singular game, and then you also have Assassin's Creed Valhalla Complete Edition for $140. I really don't know who's buying this, and for the people that want to play the games but don't want to spend that much money, you could choose between 3 different subscription options, and me personally, I really dislike the subscription-based models because over the long run, I just don't think it's worth it. You essentially have access to a ton of games, but you don't physically own anything, and that just rubs me the wrong way. Most games nowadays have some sort of microtransactions, from battle passes to a shop filled with skins, armor sets, and other random cosmetic options. Basically, if the game has multiplayer and a decent player base, there's more than likely a shop that you could spend money on. Black Ops 6 being an extremely annoying example of aggressive monetization tactics. One time I loaded up the game after not playing for a while, and the game prompted me 3 separate times to check out the in-game store and battle pass, and even opened up the battle pass for me even when I didn't want to do that. And even if you go to the store in Black Ops 6, some of the bundles end up being between $25 and $30, so it's just a lot of money. Halo Infinite was even worse, in which they locked desirable items behind paywalls, which upset the community greatly. For example, they brought back some armor that was in Halo Reach, and it was available in the game, but you had to spend points in order to access it, with the user saying, so I have to pay to get 1,000 points to spend 700 points for a pair of shoulder pads that were included in a previous game, which should have been in the battle pass in my opinion, and a bunch of emblems I don't even want. Pass officially killed all hope of getting my Reach kit to actually look like my Reach Spartan. For mobile gamers, Raid Shadow Legends is notorious for aggressive monetization, with players saying that the monetization is super predatory and would highly avoid playing this game if you have any issues with gambling. And another comment reading, you get a pop-up ad to buy something every time you go to the main hub area. If you want to be free to play, then expect a grind worse than G2A. The game also relies on loot boxes for acquiring powerful champions, which essentially makes it play to win, and the game itself is very hard to progress without spending any money. It is doable, but you need to put a lot of time into the game. Diablo Immortal is even worse apparently and has a pay-to-win model, with the common theme of the game being that the PvE mode can be free to play. However, on the PvP side, you can buy items like crests to get powerful legendary items that essentially grant you more power. And don't get me wrong, I do understand microtransactions to an extent, especially for free-to-play games. However, when you constantly shove new items down your community's throat and make the game very hard to play without spending money, it just rubs me the wrong way, especially for players that aren't as financially disciplined and they are more likely to spend tons of money on these games in order to progress their character. Man, do I dislike these kind of games. Gacha games are simply games where players use in-game currency to obtain random virtual items, with the currency being earned by playing the game or by buying it with real money. I don't know if you guys have heard of this, but the game My Hero Ultra Rumble is a great example of this, and if you have played the game, I'm sorry. In the game, you can earn these roll tickets by playing matches, and every 10 roll tickets you can spend for a chance to get a new character or a quirk set. Some of the characters in this game are extremely powerful, and they're only attainable through these boxes by spending those roll tickets. It only takes one cool item for a player to spend tens or maybe even hundreds of dollars in a game just to have a chance to get that item. Modern FIFA games have these gacha elements as well. In the Ultimate Team mode, the main way to acquire better players is by purchasing packs. These packs contain a random selection of players, and any game with loot boxes are essentially the same thing. Most of these gacha games are free to play, so it's really easy to get into the game and potentially spend money on. Some companies know that their player base will spend money on their game regardless of the game's quality, and therefore they will release unfinished games and still profit heavily from it. As mentioned before, Halo Infinite is a great example of this. When the game launched, many of the features were missing, from campaign co-op to forge mode, a custom games browser, no assassinations, and the list goes on. Cyberpunk 2077 was extremely hyped up online, and when it released, it was a buggy mess, especially on consoles like the PS4, and which the game constantly crashed over and over again. There's even a whole thread of features the community expected to see that weren't present in the game at launch, from amazing AI that will direct enemies in combat, as well as a wanted system and corrupt police. Fallout 76 being another game that was unfinished at launch, human NPCs were absent and made the world feel empty other than robots that were around to keep you company. For PC players, there were missing features such as a customizable FOV, and players didn't have features like text chat or perk loadouts. Pokemon Scarlet and Violet on release had tons of performance issues and graphical issues. The game suffered from severe frame drops, game stuttering, poor visuals, and other bugs and glitches. The game itself also had a short development cycle, and players speculated that the game was pushed out in time for the holiday season, even though it wasn't fully completed. And these games I mentioned are just some of the ones that were notoriously bad on launch, but if you look up online, there's still plenty of other examples. These bigger companies care less about quality and more about quantity of games because they know that they can get away with it. Try not to buy a game just because it's new or out of obligation. If the game you feel like is too expensive, wait for it to go on sale. If a new game comes out and looks identical to the previous year's game, don't even buy it. And I know not all modern games suffer from being mediocre or having greedy companies behind them. For me, I mostly play a lot of indie games on Steam because I feel like they're much cheaper and they typically care more about the game's quality and community way more. I wanted to make this video just to at least make you aware of what you're spending money on, especially if it's an addictive game with loot boxes or rolls or something like that. It's not worth spending your money on just to get a chance to get the item you want. If you guys did find any value in today's video, consider leaving a like and subscribing for more videos like this. There are also some videos on the screen if you are interested. Thank you so much, and I will talk to you guys later.